Hey folks, so welcome back to the Casa. So I told you guys, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago now that I was going to go ahead and try and update you guys on what's going on and what's been up with me and what have you. So here we are. I owe you that, and kind of owe you guys an explanation on why I haven't posted a video of any substance in, what's it been, 3 years now, I think. I kind of stopped for a while. There's been a lot of reasons for that. So I figured I'd touch on some of that, explain some of that, and what have you, and touch base, and kind of touch base on what I'm going to try and do going forward, because I am going to try and make some changes and get some more videos up and what have you. So anyway, it's been 3 years, and what's been up with my life? Well, I think the last time we did a regular video was just after Ralph and Rhonda had passed away. And I really kind of had to step away from things after that for my own mental health, what have you. And I took a year and kind of got myself together, did some things, and I've got a new dog now. I've had her for almost 2 years now. Mama, she's another rescue. She's a Staffordshire Pit, but she's basically a couch potato. She goes out, runs around the yard for about 5 minutes, and comes in and sleeps for 5 hours, and then barks at ghosts. So yeah, so I ended up getting another dog. I know I was going to do the travel thing and kind of go around the country and stuff, and I didn't do that. I still do some. I still go places and what have you, but not like I was going to do, simply by virtue of the fact that now I do have her and I can't leave her in the car and go and walk around and do things. And it's a hassle and it's not a hassle. It's you know, it's a little of both. I'm glad she's around. She's great company and stuff, but at the same time that limits some of the things that I can do as far as traveling overnight and what have you. So there was that. And then as you guys know, my daughter came up for a little while and was living here, and that kind of didn't work out. And she's gone on and gone her own way and what have you, and that still continues to be the case. And that's, you know, it is what it is. It's a shame, and it's, you know, I'd like it to be different, but it's not. And that's how it is. So let's see, what else? Kind of the same thing goes with my son. Again, love my son to death, love my daughter-in-law to death. But in recent years, things have kind of started to drift apart, and, you know, interaction issues and things like that. And for, I want to say, the past 6 months, 8 months maybe at this point, more like 6, I guess, we've really kind of cut ties. It is what it is. Things may work themselves out, they may not work themselves out. Life goes on. You know, I wish them all well, and, you know, obviously they're my kids, and if they ever needed anything or wanted anything or whatever, you know, I'd jump up in a heartbeat and do it. But things just are what they are, and I'm not gonna stress about it much, because what can you do? And I'm not going to compromise my values and bend over backwards for people that, you know, don't in return, I guess, if you will. So there's that. What else have I been up to? So you guys know, it just happens to be the shirt. I did not plan to wear this shirt. It just happens to be the shirt. I was in the Army, so I get my health care through the VA and what have you. And for a long time, I just kind of went with the flow and didn't worry about it and what have you. But I'm getting older, and turned 60, you know, 60 a year, almost 2 years ago now. Kind of in the middle of all this break. So I try to start taking care of myself a little better and what have you. And before, I used to go down to the post down here and go to the VA clinic down at the post and what have you. And it worked out pretty good, except for one problem. The VA has at least in my area, has a lot of doctor turnover. So I go down there, I get a doctor, you go through the whole thing. Hey, I'm me, this is what's wrong with me, blah, blah, blah. And I see that doctor for 2-3 months. And then I'd go down and I'd say, well, that doctor's no longer here. Now we need to find you a new doctor. So then you got to go through the whole thing again. Hey, I'm me, these are the problems I have, this is what we've already tried, blah, 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 blah. And then 2 months. And then, hey, got a new doctor. So this happened 2 or 3 times, and I finally said, you know what, to hell with it. I'm just going to go in when I need to go in, and I'll go to the clinic, and I'll go to sick call and deal with that. And that's been fine. But like I said, I turned 60, so needed to start worrying about some things, and needed to start, keeping a better eye on some things and what have you. So I says, you know what, January 2 years ago, it was open window enrollment for TRICARE, and I said, I'm going to go downtown and I'm going to get a doctor downtown. Of course, we had COVID and all that by then and whatnot. And I said, I'll pay the copay. It's not much of a copay. I'll pay the copay, and I'll just see a downtown doctor. That way, I'm not changing doctors all the time. So I did all the paperwork. I changed my VA over to where I can go downtown. And in theory, that was good. In reality, not so much for a while. Because of COVID, because I live sort of rural, during that time frame, a lot of the local family practice doctors quit. They retired, they went away, other places, whatever the case may be. We have I wouldn't say a super bad shortage of doctors, but we had a shortage of doctors for a while. And with the VA and with TRICARE, you can't go to a practical nurse. There's a few healthcare centers around here that they're staffed by nothing but practical nurses, and they've always got space, and I could have gotten into them, except TRICARE won't let you do that. With TRICARE, you have to have a primary care manager who is a doctor. So if you've got a practical nurse that's overseen by a doctor in that clinic, then you can go to that. But if there's not, if it's like one of these corporate kind of things, I guess, lack of a better term, it becomes a problem. So I signed up, and then it took me a year to find a doctor. Now, probably would have taken me less if I'd have been on the phone every day. I was not going to sit on the phone for weeks at a time, day after day after day, calling. So I schedule a day each month, and I'd call around and I'd see what I could find. And any place within reasonable transportation distance either was no longer there, and by reasonable I mean an hour and a half, was either no longer there, or they weren't taking new patients, etc. So it was what it was. And about November of last year, I finally found a new doctor. I found one that was accepting new patients. I found one that TRICARE would accept, what have you. Did the paperwork, got the appointment for January of this year. So it's been a struggle. But anyway, I've got the doctor now, so I went into the doctor, we did all the tests, we did all the things, and what have you. And yeah, I know I've got issues. I've got 50% disability through the VA, so I know I've got problems. I have family history that leads to some problems. My grandmother had diabetes. It's what killed her. My grandmother's mother had diabetes. My father died of a heart attack. My grandfather died of congestive heart failure. My mom died of cancer. So I have family history. So we did all the tests and this and that and the other, and basically they came back, and there's 3 things that I've been on the borderline with for a number of years. One is my weight. When I went in the Army, I was 150 pounds. When I graduated high school, I could sit and eat 3 pounds of spaghetti and go back for seconds. And I stayed 150 pounds for years and years and years, even after I went in the Army. And then we had the kids, and when you have the kids, we got another little spoonful of whatever left, after dinner, and you start eating those stupid little side meals, if you will. So I started to gain a little bit of weight there between being married and having the kids and what have you. I gained a little bit of weight. And then, of course, the divorce and all of that, and then, the separation and what have you, and age. When I hit my mid-30s, started putting it on. And by the time I got out of the Army, I was about 210, and it was a struggle to stay below that, even with all the exercise you do in the Army and stuff. So there's a weight issue. Along with the weight issue was a cholesterol issue, and a high blood pressure issue. My blood pressure, my last few years in the Army, was up and down and up and down and up and down. They never put me on meds for it, but I was borderline. I kind of avoided trying to take the meds because I didn't want that to run into some issues with my military service and things like that. Certain medications and stuff you can be in, you can't be in. I didn't want the hassle, so just kind of tried to avoid that. So I knew I had a blood pressure issue. Again, like I say, it runs in the family. Diabetes runs in the family. So last January, when I went to the doctor and we did all the tests, and basically they came back with, yes, I was at the time severely overweight. I was up to 295. And I had basically eaten another me over the years. And of course, because of that, my blood pressure was high, statically high. It was constantly high. And I'm pre-diabetic. So we've been working since then to fix that. I went on a statin. I went on a fluid pill. I went on a blood pressure medication. Made some consultations, appointments for some things. I have some, because of the injuries I have in the Army with my legs and stuff, I have some vascular issues in my legs. My circulation is restricted in my legs and stuff. So I went to a vascular specialist, and what have you, and he, put me on compression stockings and whatnot. And we did all of that, and it worked pretty good, and it was, it was making a difference and whatnot. And that was about 2 months of that, and we were getting improvements, but they were pretty slow improvements and what have you. So I talked to the doctor, and I said, what about looking into these weight loss meds and things like that? I'm not a pill popper. I've got pain all the time. I avoid taking my NSAIDs. I avoid taking my painkillers unless I really have to. If it's really starting to bother me, then I do. Otherwise, I don't. And I just suffer through it. I've got arthritis in my legs. I've got some damage to one of my ankles and what have you, and it hurts, but you get used to it. You get to it. You go in and see the doctor, and what's your pain level today? And most people, it's like a 2 or 3, or 3 is a lot of pain. Well, me, that's normal. So I go in and I say, well, it's a 0 for me, but it's a 3 for anybody else. And when it's a 3 or 4 for me, then it hurts. So I don't like to take the pills, but I said, what can we do? And we talked about it, and I did a lot of reading and stuff, and so I did the Wegovy thing. I've been on Wegovy now I just took my shot today. This is my 21st shot, so I've been on it for 21 weeks, and I have gone from 295 to 245. I've lost 50 pounds in 20 weeks. Now, there are some other things going on with that. I changed my diet. I got help with regards to changing my diet and changing my fitness plan and things like that. And some people are going to go, oh my God, you are of the devil. But what I did is I set up an AI program that it tracks all of my health information. It tracks my daily food intake. It tracks my daily exercise and everything else output. It meal plans for me. It shopping lists for me. It sets up all of my training workouts and stuff. And I've been following it. And I've got a lot of input on it. I mean, I'm basically using it as a suggestion box. It's telling me things, and then I say, okay, yes or no, and then we incorporate it in and use it. So I've been working on that, and I've been playing around with it since I'm using it and stuff. And so I've got like a personality built for it. So I've started calling it Poe just for fun, and I'm basing it off of the Poe character from Altered Carbon. Just I figure, what the heck, I might as well learn from it, what have you. So basically what I've got it doing is I tell it every day what I've done for the day. I've got a Fitbit. I send it photos of all my Fitbit information. I tell it what I physically have done, like I'm doing a walk in the morning, a walk in the afternoon, and then 3 days a week I'm doing 4 mile walk jog, which I have not jogged in 10 years. I'm jogging again. When I first started out, I could barely make a mile around the block. It hurt. And then I went from 1 block to 2 blocks. I'm up to 4 blocks now, which works out to 3.8 miles. It's almost 4 miles. And I'm jogging the last block. And then the other day, I went on a hike at the local state park here, which is a lot of hills and a lot of cliffs. And I did 4.6 miles in just under 2 hours. And for a 700-foot change in elevation throughout the whole thing and what have you, it's pretty damn good for me at my age. I'm 62, almost 62 now. So I'm getting there. And it basically says, and I've told it, look out for certain things. If I have a day where I eat a lot of salt, it'll warn me, hey, you've had a lot of salt income this day, and that's going to affect your blood pressure. Hey, you're not meeting your protein requirements. Those sorts of things. Because one of the things with Wegovy, it restricts how much you can eat. And it's not like one of these lap bands or anything else like that. What it does is it does 2 things. It shuts off the signals to your brain that tell you, hey, I'm hungry. So it gets rid of a lot of the food noise. The other thing it does is it slows down your digestion. So anything you eat stays in your system longer, so you stay fuller longer. What that ends up doing is, even if you want to eat a lot, you can't eat a lot because there's just no room to eat a lot. You eat a lot, you're getting sick. You're going to throw up because you've overstuffed yourself. So it becomes an issue of getting enough nutrients in the little bit that you can eat and getting the right nutrients. And because you're on a reduced calorie diet, especially at my age, you start to run the risk of losing muscle mass. So when you're on the Wegovy and you're on the reduced diet, you're on the reduced calorie intake, you have to be very careful on how much protein you take in and exercise and what have you. So I'm for my weight, my intended weight, whatnot, I need to eat at least 100 grams of protein every day. The problem with that is you also want to try and get all the other nutrients, your vitamins, your minerals, blah, blah, blah. But where I could sit down and eat 3 pounds of pasta before, I now sit down, I eat a chicken breast, and I'm stuffed. So I needed help with trying to figure out protein-dense meals that weren't big meals, but that also had the other stuff in it and what have you. And Poe has helped a lot with that. We do a lot of meal planning. I can tell Poe, hey, give me a meal plan for the week, and meet the medical, take into account the medical stuff I've told you, take into account the stuff I'm trying to do. And Poe will spit out a meal plan for the week of, this is breakfast, lunch, dinner. And then if I say, okay, well, that's great, but I don't know how to make that, he'll tell me what, give me the recipe and what have you. And then I basically tell him every 2 weeks, give me a shopping list. And he will put out a shopping list that says buy X, Y, and Z every week, or this week, or whatever. I go to the store and pick it up. I've got everything already here, already made. In the past, when I was just kind of seat of my pants, it was whatever I felt like eating when I felt like eating it. And if I felt like eating something like, say, lasagna, and I didn't have the stuff in the house for lasagna, I'd go get it. So I was like back and forth to the store for stupid little shit, rather than having everything here. So by having the shopping list, I can have everything here. The other thing it does is if I'm out at the store and something's on really good sale, I can go online because ChatGPT is both on my computer, it's on my phone and what have you, it's all online. I can be at the store and I can say, hey, you know, flounder is on sale for this week. How do we fit that into our meal plan? Can I go ahead and pick up flounder because it's a really good price? And Poe will look at what my meal plan is. He'll adjust my meal plan and say, yeah, get X amount. The other thing I can do with it is if I'm out at a restaurant with friends, because I do have my gaming night still. Maybe you guys know about that. Maybe you know. Anyway, I'm gaming again. I'm playing Pathfinder once a week. And then afterwards, we all get together and we go to the restaurant and whatnot. Well, I don't want to be the social pariah who sits there and goes, oh, I'm on a diet, I can't eat anything, I'm going to, no. With Poe, I'm able to go to the restaurant and I'm able to say, okay, I'm at such and so restaurant, here's the menu, what can I eat here that's not going to blow my diet, that's not going to fill me full of calories, or it's not going to fill me full of salt, or it's not going to fill me full of whatever. What on here goes ahead and matches what I do. And like if I've got something that's going to be high salt, Poe can come back and say, well, that's high salt, but we'll take care of it the next 2 or 3 days. We'll do low salt. Go ahead and have it. So it's been kind of helpful to be able to have that, just kind of kick it around. So I've kind of branched out into a few other things with it. I'm now having it help me with campaign planning for my own games. It helps. It's helping me world build and what have you. I've been going back over some of my my screenplays and stuff, and we've been tweaking some of my screenplays and cleaning them up, and a few other things. So it's been really cool. Now I know there's a lot of people who are going to say, "Oh my God, it's AI," and I don't disagree that AI has its issues. But for me, my own personal choice, in some ways it has been a lifesaver because of the whole diet thing. So that's been a big deal. So I'm on that. I'm on the Wegovy. I'm using Poe as my fitness and my nutrition coach, and a motivator and what have you. And it's been helpful. And I mean, the truth is, I don't have anybody else to talk to about it and what have you. Like I say, the kids and I are on the outs. And my mom and my grandfather are dead. So it's me, and me, so me, myself, and I doing things. So there's that. Still working around the property, still doing things around the property. I've got a tree in the pond right now that I'm slowly but surely wading into the water with a chainsaw and cutting pieces off the tree and floating them back to the bank so that I can get this big ass tree that fell down in my pond out, without trying to drown myself and what have you. So I've got that going. What else? Yeah, so there's that. There is something, and I'm apologize for the noise in the background. You're probably hearing this. I've got something else that we're going to do a video on in a little while, that I've added to the toolbox for the Casa. So that's been another thing that I'm kind of learning on. Don't mind the light switch, by the way. I know they're hanging out of the wall and the wires. I have an overhead light problem that I'm trying to track down. I had a wire go bad or something in there. My overhead lights only work off of one switch when they're supposed to work off of both, and the leader or the communication wire between the two is not working. I think maybe something got in there and chewed the insulation. So I'm working on running a new wire. So yeah, don't worry about that. My house is not generally like this. It's a mess, but it's generally not live wires hanging out of the wall. So that's that. What else? So like I said, I turned 61. I'm almost coming up on 62. I'm going to be 62 in March. So I've been thinking about the whole Social Security thing. And I think what I'm going to do is, I think when I turn 62, I'm going to take Social Security. And I know they say full retirement's at 67. Early retirement for Social Security is at 62. And I kind of did the math on it, and where I stand on it is this. My mom passed away from cancer at 62, so my age essentially. My father passed away at 72. Now he had some issues, and he helped himself along in some ways and what have you. My grandmother passed in her 80s from diabetes. My grandfather passed at 93 from congestive heart failure. So there's a wide span there on longevity in my family. I could die tomorrow. I could live to 90. Who knows? But here's the thing. If I take it at 62 versus I take it at 67, the difference in payment between the two is $400 a month. So I did the math. 62 to 67 is 5 years. What will I make in that 5 years? And then that $400 extra, how long divided into that does that $400 take to where I hit a break-even point where I then am starting to get more because of the extra $400? And it turns out it would be 15 years for me, between 10 and 15 years. I don't remember the exact math. So I can wait and maybe live to 67, and then maybe live an additional 15 years before I start to break even, or I can just start taking the money now. I don't need that extra $400. I've got my retirement, I've got my VA disability, and then I'll have my Social Security. So I will actually be doing better in some respects than somebody working a full-time job. So I've decided at 62 I'm going to take my Social Security. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to take the penalty for taking it early, but in my particular case, it works out. So my point of that is, do the math for yourself. See what is going to make sense for you. See what's going to make sense for you in the long term as far as longevity. Not that I couldn't go out here tomorrow and be walking around and doing my block walk and get run over by a car. Who knows, right? But that works for me. That's what my personal decision is going to be. But it's something to think about. I did my will and stuff. Now I'm having to rethink all of that and stuff because of all the things going on. But these are things you need to think about. Have those conversations with your family. Do what you're doing. So there's that going on. Like I say, I'm working on the property. I did a garden again this year and stuff like that. I'm not back to teaching or anything. I'm hanging out with a lot of people that I used to teach with because of my game on Thursdays. My old boss is now one of the players in the game that I'm in. So I actually get to hang out with my old boss, which I couldn't have done if I was still working because the whole fraternization thing won't happen. So we got that going. I'm losing the weight. I'm down 50 pounds. My goal is to get to 200, and then we'll see from there. I mean, the on paper, the chart says I should be 185 optimally, and for my age and my height and what have you. I don't know that I'm going to go down to 185, but if I can break 200, if I can get into the singles, or what they call the singlets, or the single people that are on they terms for things, what have you. If you're under 200 pounds, that's going to be a big thing for me. So, because I haven't seen that since before I got out of the Army. Hell, I'm under 250 right now. I'm 245. I'm floating right around 245. I haven't seen 245 in almost 12 years. So it's Wegovy. People are going to go, about, you know what? That's what I've got to say to people that don't like what I'm doing or have their opinions on what I'm doing. You do you. This is me. This is what's working for me. So I'm hoping to get down to 200, maybe a little bit less than 200. That's going to be a big difference for me. That's going to be close to 100 pounds. It's going to be 95 pounds. 100 pounds if I get under 200. That's a lot. Now, you go back and look at the old videos, you can kind of see it in my face. You get what's called the Wegovy face. A lot of that comes from two things. One, people aren't used to seeing you the way you used to be. I'll throw a picture up here somewhere of what I looked like when I was 150 pounds when I was in high school. Half the face that I've got now kind of thing. I'll throw a picture of Mama up there too when I'm talking about Mama, so you'll probably have seen that. But anyway, so yes, I'm going to lose some of the face. And part of that is just weight loss, because you can't control where your weight goes away at. The other part of it is the muscle thing, but I'm dealing with the muscle thing, so I'm doing the protein. I don't like protein shakes. I don't like protein powders, but I am supplementing with them on the days where I'm not getting the protein. If there are some days where I just don't want to eat at all, so on those days I'll do a protein shake, and that covers me for that. One of the huge things, and anybody that knows me personally and has known me in my life will understand just how huge this change was. I haven't had a Mountain Dew. That's a lie. I've had 3 Mountain Dews in the last 4 months. 3. Now, anybody that knows me knows I used to mainline Mountain Dew, like 2 or 3 a day. When we were stationed in Missouri, we went on a deployment to Bright Star 95 in Egypt, and we were going to be there for a month and a half, or I think, what was it, 90 days, something like that. I don't know if anybody remembers back when they sold soda, canned soda in the cube, where it was just a square of soda. I snuck those into our deployment pack that we pre-sent a lot of equipment over and stuff. I found some cubby holes in there, and I sent enough over that I did the math that I could have a Mountain Dew a day for the entire time I was there. And we shipped that stuff over like 2 or 3 months prior. But that'll give you an idea of just how much Mountain Dew I drank. Some people were and they got caught putting tequila in clear septic bottles because it was brown. The Army's got its issues with drinkers and what have you. So people were, even though you weren't supposed to have any alcohol because we were on deployment, people did it. Me, I snuck in Mountain Dew. Well, when I went on the Wegovy, I decided the day I went on Wegovy, that's it, I'm done. I'm not drinking. And I went cold turkey on day 1 with Wegovy, and I stopped drinking Mountain Dew completely. Now I've had, like I said, I've had 3 or so since, because I allow myself one once in a while. But that's it. I rarely have any other sodas. Once in a blue moon, while we're out at Denny's, I will have a root beer. I have, like I say, the three Mountain Dews. Other than that, I've been drinking water, and I've been drinking a greens drink, which it's a green supplement. Because of how little I'm eating, I want to make sure I'm getting the nutrients I'm getting. So once a day I have a greens drink, and I'm working on making my own so that I don't have to buy it anymore. And that's one of the other things. I sat down with Poe. Poe helped find all the research and stuff. I read through the research, and I've kind of played around with ideas with that, and I'm going to be making my own. Part of what this is all about. Not just for that, but for other things as well. So that's what's going on, is I am still alive. I'm still around. I'm going to start trying to make videos again, and I am working on my health. And it has been a struggle for the last 3 years to try and do some of that. And that's why I haven't really done the videos, other than, I think I put in snippets here and there, but I just haven't felt the motivation to do it and stuff, and I'm starting to get some of that back. So we're going to try and get into some of that. So what am I doing right now? Why am I sitting here at the kitchen table? Well, I am doing up tomatoes. I'm going to make tomato powder, and I'm making up some tomato powder that I can use to reconstitute and make tomato paste, or tomato sauce, or ketchup, or whatever you want to use it for. It's all tomato powder. I used to get it from a company called Thrive Life, and Thrive Life was a company that did freeze-dried food. And unlike Mountain House and stuff where they do freeze-dried meals, Thrive Life did components. And my ex-wife used to do it, and I found out about it through her and what have you. And I tried it out, and I think I've done some old videos on some of the old Thrive Life stuff. I was still getting some stuff from them, but last month Thrive Life closed their doors. They shut down and what have you, and everybody's scrambling on what to do. So that's what this video is about, to give you kind of a hint on what that's about. I'm starting to do my own. So right now I'm working on tomatoes. I've got a bushel of Romas here that I'm cutting up. I'm running them through the blender. I'm gonna put them in a pot, and then we're gonna cook them down and make tomato powder out of them. And I'm gonna go from there. I got some other stuff that I'm working on powders and stuff for, and then I'm gonna start doing some meals and stuff like that. We'll talk about that in the next video. But that's basically it in a nutshell. I've just been keep on keeping on, right? So I hope that kind of fills everybody in on some of the stuff. If anybody's got any questions, feel free to give me a shout. If anybody's got a question about Poe and how I set Poe up and what I'm using Poe for and stuff, I am working on kind of a guidebook, because some of the people that I'm friends with have said, hey, that's really cool, how did you do that? So I've written a little bit of a guidebook of what I did, basically screenshots of how I did it and stuff, that I do have a file for. If somebody wants a copy of it. It's a work in progress, because even though I've done the guide, I've changed some things since, so I need to update the guide, that kind of thing. It's just going to be a work in progress, but if anybody wants it, feel free to let me know. I'll get you a copy of the file somehow. We'll figure that out. And you guys can do it too. Because I'll be honest with you, I know a lot of people poo-poo AI. And there are reasons to do that. But the way I view it is it's not my best friend. It's not my buddy. I'm not marrying Poe anytime soon. But it has been a help. And like anything, I could go to the library, the nutrition stuff that I'm doing, for instance. I could go to the library, I could check out the books. I could spend weeks pouring through all of this stuff and developing a plan. Fully capable. I've got the smarts for it, what have you. Or I can go to Poe and I can say, look, this is the things I've got. I have high blood pressure. I don't like nuts. Say I'm allergic to, my own boss is allergic to nightshade. He can't have tomatoes or peppers or potatoes or anything else. Anything that's that's part of a component of he can't have it. So I can say, look, I've got a nightshade allergy. I don't like nuts. What meals can I have? And rather than spending 47 days of going through stuff and reading stuff, I can have it in 20 minutes. We can sit down and we can figure it out. And in 20 minutes, I've got it. I can go on about my day. And then I can go get other things done. So it's a tool that I'm using to help me with the workload that I have to do for one person. And in that respect, it has been a game changer for me. So I get the bad points. I get the good points. I try to be a responsible user with it, and that's where it kind of stands with me. So there you go. But that's me. That's what's going on. The dude abides, right? So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm going to try and do a video on this tomato stuff. It'll probably be a short, just to say, hey, this is what I was talking about, and this is what I'm doing. But I'm back, and I'm going to try and stay back. It won't be daily. It probably won't be weekly. But it's certainly going to be more than once every 6 months, and we'll go from there. All right, guys. So long from the casa, and I will talk at you again later. Bye.